This video is designed to help anyone with access to a snapshot report to fully understand its organization and graphic summaries. First, viewers should understand how the snapshot items and data are organized. Simply put, 6 groups of 4. That is, 6 domains we call focal points viewed through lenses we call conditions, of which there are 4. 6 groups of 4. Focal points can be defined by considering 3 nested locales: the classroom, the school, and the community. In the classroom, teachers strive to create the conditions for learning. In the school, administrators strive to create the conditions for teaching. And in the community, all school personnel strive to create the conditions for community support. Within each of these locales, relationships between their inhabitants can be classified as either vertical or horizontal. In the classroom, the vertical relationships are those between the teacher and each student, and these relationships are at the heart of academic success. The horizontal relationships are those between students and are governed by student social skills. In the school, the vertical relationships are those between the principal and each teacher, and these relationships describe the degree to which effective instructional practices have enough support to thrive. The horizontal relationships are those between teachers. These relationships go beyond social niceties and target professional collaboration that impacts all school outcomes. Finally, in the community, the vertical relationships are those between the school and each family and describe the degree to which the school creates a true partnership with each parent. And the horizontal relationships are those between families, where dispositions around school issues are positive and supportive. And there are the 6. To understand our data summaries, we rearrange the 3 nested locales into columns. Remember, we associate the classroom with the conditions for learning, the school with the conditions for teaching, and the community with the conditions for community support. And in each of these locales, we designate the relationships between those that manage the environment and those that act and learn within it as vertical, and the relationships between the individuals within the environment as horizontal. Now we have our 6 focal points. At this point, you are likely very familiar with the 4 conditions, but if not, there are additional videos and other materials available on our website. Remember, each of the 6 focal points is viewed through each of the 4 condition lenses. Clear expectations for performance, sufficient opportunities to practice skills with specific and timely feedback, recognition for meeting or making steps towards meeting expectations, and relationships between individuals that demonstrate trust and respect. And that's the 4. In total, 6 groups of 4. Although all respondents report on the entire 6x4 matrix, the snapshot report presents data from primary audiences only. That is, we only present student reports on the conditions for learning, teacher reports on the conditions for teaching, and parent reports on the conditions for community support. The other data, which are highly nuanced and require additional instruction to interpret, can be accessed using our data filters, but we do not cover that in this video. When you first open your snapshot report, you are presented with the report summary. This page provides a simple but comprehensive presentation of data from your primary stakeholders. The first line of data on the summary page is a count of students, certified teachers, and parents that participated in the snapshot assessment. To give you a better idea of how well your data will generalize to your entire school populations, representativeness grades are shown as colored rectangles under each response number. The accompanying legend applies only to these response figures. The color grades are determined by sample size and some demographic characteristics of the respondents and reflect statistical confidence. The yellow grade is sufficient, but green indicates a greater commitment to using snapshot data for school improvement. A red grade suggests that data from that response audience are unusable. You will notice that the organization of this page mirrors the earlier presentation of the snapshot data organization. 6 groups of 4, with students reporting on the conditions for learning academic and social skills, teachers reporting on the conditions for instructional support and collaboration, and parents reporting on the conditions for parent involvement and community support. Each of the 24 numbers in the table is the percentage of respondents who perceive the presence of that condition for that focal point. Higher is better. As a side note, providing data summaries of any kind force the reporter of those data into a catch-22. Either no interpretive information is provided, leaving the reader with little to guide their understanding of the report, or interpretive information is misunderstood as judgment and potential embarrassment if others are to see the report. The snapshot report does everything it can to provide as much interpretation as you need while limiting the judgment it might create. That said, percentages on this page above 80 indicate strong and effective school practice, while numbers below 60 indicate conditions that need immediate attention. The tabs along the upper left part of your screen allow you to navigate to each page of the complete snapshot report. Along with the summary and structure pages, there are 3 pages that summarize the 6 focal points, each starting with the word conditions. 6 pages that summarize the conditions for each focal point, a 3D view of other important school issues, a summary of the demographic characteristics of the respondents, and all of the text responses. The second page of the snapshot report, called Structure, presents some basic background information that supports the entire snapshot report. Printing summary and structure back-to-back on a single page makes a great executive report handout. Focal points are the nested domains of the snapshot data structure. Each is assessed using 4 items, 1 for each condition. To fully understand these 3 report pages, we will take you from response to graphic summary. Imagine a person taking the snapshot assessment. In this case, let the person be a happy student addressing the conditions for learning academic skills. The first item they see deals with the clarity of expectations in the classroom, and being a happy student, they provide a positive response. They also agree that they get lots of chances to practice reading, that they are recognized by their teacher when they do their best work, and that they trust and respect their teacher. A total of 4 positive responses. Now let us imagine another student taking the same snapshot assessment. They are struggling to learn and are not so happy. In fact, they do not perceive or are not sure about the presence of any of these conditions. That would be a total of 0 positive responses. Now the rest of the students, most happy but some not, take the snapshot assessment, and each student has a total of 0 to 4 positive responses for this focal point. These totals are what we use to summarize the status of that focal point. To present these totals, we build histograms. For this histogram, we group the 0s and 1s together to make interpretations easier. 5 students had totals of 4, 6 students had totals of 3, 3 students had totals of 2, and 2 students had totals of 1 or 0. The bottom line provides the percentage of students who fell into each total category. Now we cover the X's with bars to complete the histogram. To help interpret this histogram, and based on thousands of assessments from millions of students over more than a decade of research, we color the bars. The first bar is purple and represents the students perceiving an exemplary education. The percentage below this bar, in fact, very strongly correlates with all learning outcomes and is the metric used in much of our research. The next bar is green, the next yellow, and finally the last in red. These colors indicate the proportion of students who could benefit from a specific tiered instructional intervention. Students represented by the red bar would benefit from individualized interventions. Those represented by the yellow bar would benefit from small group interventions. Those represented by the green bar would benefit from class-wide or school-wide interventions. And those represented by the purple bar might benefit from expanded content. The table of smiley faces connects to other parts of the snapshot report as well. In fact, when you calculate the percentage of positive responses in each row, you get the numbers found on the school summary page. From these figures, it is easy to see that recognition for meeting academic expectations is perceived the least, and its acceleration would benefit half the students in the school and might drastically alter the color proportions when Snapshot is done the next time. Research has shown that this noticeable change in tier distributions will ultimately have a positive effect on academic outcomes. More detail on each of the 4 conditions for each of the 6 focal points can be found on the 6 pages named after each of the focal points. Here we can see student responses to the 4 items focused on the conditions for learning academic skills. On these pages you can clearly see the headers for the 4 conditions. Just below the headers are the items found on the assessment, and the text below that clarifies why that item was used to measure that condition for that focal point. On the right side of the page are the histograms of responses to each item. The labels under each bar run from strongly disagree, abbreviated by SD, through disagree, not sure, agree, and finally to strongly agree, abbreviated by SA. The middle and bottom rows are the percentage and number of respondents that chose that response. Notice that some of the questions are worded negatively, so in those cases, strongly disagree is a good thing, and the histogram might lean the other way. You will need to pay attention to the item wording to fully understand the response. Knowing that certain issues are paramount for school leaders, we created a 1-page, all-audiences summary of the most critical issues in schools: safety, instructional quality, and leadership. For this page, we stacked interpretive graphics, affectionately called histosliders. They interpret responses and suggest the status of each issue using colors. Purple implies exemplary practice, green is good, yellow is minimal, and red suggests that that issue is in an inadequate state from that audience's perspective. The position of the slider within the color shows how far your data suggests you are from the next color. In this way, you can see how the three audiences viewed the same issues. The position of the slider was determined using either identical or nearly identical items or groups of items across audiences. The top slider is derived from student data, the next slider from teacher data, and the bottom slider from parent data. The accompanying text provides some interpretive strategies you can use to understand these presentations. The last page discussed in this video is the demographics page. It presents basic demographic summaries for respondents from each of the primary audiences. All of the data in the first column describe the grade, ethnicity, and gender responses from the students. The grade percentages should sum to 100 with a possible rounding error. Each percentage is the percent of student respondents in that grade. Thus, 20% of the students who took this snapshot assessment reported that they were in the 9th grade. The ethnicity percentages might sum to much more than 100, as students were allowed to choose all ethnicities that apply to them. Again, each percentage is the percent of student respondents reporting that ethnicity. Thus, 8% of the students who took this snapshot assessment reported being Asian. Finally, the gender figure is the percent of student respondents that are male. All of the data in the middle column describe the grade responses from the teachers. These grade percentages might sum to much more than 100, as teachers often work with more than one grade. Finally, all of the data in the last column describe the grade and ethnicity responses from the parents. These grade and ethnicity percentages might sum to much more than 100, as parents are asked to mark the grades of all their school-age children and to mark all the ethnicities that apply to them. We hope this video helped. Please let us know.